Hello. Very big shoes to fill. All right. So what I want to share with you is pretty much sort of a review of words that Pastor Mike has shared with us. But for some reason, it's really, I guess, more impressed upon my heart, especially this time of the year with Father's Day and all. The verse, or a couple of verses I want to share, but the first verse from Mark chapter 14, verse 36, and it reads, Abba, Father, he said, everything is possible for you. Take this cup from me, yet not what I will, but what you will. And, this is just one of the verses from the passage in the Bible where he's praying at Gethsemane and before he's arrested. And we see Jesus in probably his most vulnerable moment. In that passage, and it says in verse 33 that he was deeply distressed, deeply troubled. In verse 34, he says his soul was overwhelmed with sorrow to the point of death. In verse 35, he was praying that the hour might pass from him. So we know that he was deeply distressed, yet at that time he calls to his Father. And the word that is used, Abba, Father, is a word that means father, but it's not sort of like a father type of word. The meaning of that word seems to be more, closely translated to daddy. Like when you guys, just picture a little child or your child, if you have children, just saying daddy, instead of like a father, So, that's the type of, word that Jesus uses to cry out to our God the Father at that moment. And we sort of catch a glimpse of that intimate relationship that Jesus has with God the Father. And, in his greatest moment of need, he calls out Daddy. And I thought that was awesome. And we, sort of get an example of how we can approach our Father. In Romans chapter 8, verse 14 and 15, it reads, For those who are led by the Spirit of God are the children of God. The Spirit you received does not make you slaves so that you live in fear again. Rather, the Spirit you received brought about your adoption to sonship, and by him we cry, Abba, Father. So while some of us may have never had that intimate moment with our earthly fathers, or we may not remember the last time that we cried out to our earthly father, Daddy, in a great moment of distress, or in any moment. Now we are children of God, and we have that ability to cry out, Abba, Father, or Daddy, to our Father in heaven. I think that's awesome. And, we even see in the story of the prodigal son, where the father, despite his younger son's obedience, sees his son returning. And you see that God is longing for us as well, and God is longing for us to just want to reach out to him and say, Abba, Father, to say Daddy. And I think that's awesome. And that kind of reminds me of, now that I'm a father, I sort of see the parallels of my relationship with my kids and also my relationship with our Father in heaven. And, I so treasure the moments when, like when I get home from work or when I come home and the kids, they sort of, most of the time, they'll drop whatever they're doing when they hear that door open, and they'll come, running to the door, sprinting to the door. It's usually Matthew who will just, I'll usually hear him running down the stairs, or just full on sprint from the kitchen area, and he'll just sprint and he'll kind of like do a jump bear hug to me, all while yelling Daddy at the top of his lungs. And Joshua will do the same thing. Lucas can't run to the door yet, or can't say Daddy, but sometimes he'll just give me a smile, and that just means the world to me. And I'm reminded of how much I long to feel that, to hear that, to see that embrace, and how that just that's just the best moment of my day, when they do that, and kind of all goes downhill from there after that. And, no, I'm kidding. But that's just an awesome moment, and I'm reminded, how much does our God in heaven want to hear that from us, you know. How often do I say Abba Father with that joy that the kids, when they hear me coming in through the door, they just sprint full out, even to the point where I feel like they're going to, hurt themselves and whatnot. And, I'm just reminded on this Father's Day just to, enjoy the embrace of my children, but also, to be challenged to embrace our God just by saying Abba Father, my Daddy in heaven. So that's all.